Hey, what's going on? This is Ola live from my Empire Pro Studios. On this episode, on this broadcast, we're going to be talking about the three pillars. I do have another video on this channel that explains the three pillars in a shorter, straight to the point version that actually introduces you to the three pillar system.com. But on this video, it's a little bit different. We are in this 7-part series. This is chapter 6 of 7 of the real estate wholesaling 101 crash course. And a lot of people probably see me talk about three pillar system a lot during the course of this series, and you really haven't uh, maybe you don't understand why we're talking about three pillar system for wholesaling business. And I think it's very important to make this a whole chapter and to really talk about it in depth, tell you some stories on why I came about the concept of the three pillars, why it is very, very important for you making money in real estate wholesaling, and why it's going to help you keep it simple. One of the most difficult things for human beings in general is to keep things simple. We have a tendency to just want to complicate stuff, or to feel like if something is not complicated enough, it must mean that it's not authentic enough. It means it's not as original, or it must mean it's not as useful as other things that may seem complicated. So what do I mean? Some people may sit down with a pencil on a board and start drawing all kind of engineering lines for you, and that may make you feel all of a sudden that that's better than what I'm about to share with you here. That would be a great mistake, because one of the biggest testimony about this series is that I take my time to really break it down into pieces, the idea of wholesaling and why it is as profitable as it is. But it's even that much more profitable when you learn how to keep it simple so you can do it consistently. There are two secrets I want to share with you real quickly as a pre as a pre as a pre-think. That's a word I'm looking for. I can't find it right now. But the idea is that two things that must be the foundation of you making any kind of money in real estate wholesaling. It's your ability to be able to keep things simple, right? And also your ability to be able to be consistent. Okay. So simplicity and consistency. When you bring it down to simple, it can be consistent. You can pound it over and over again. And the weirdest example I can give you is, I'm going to build a wall. I'm going to build a wall. I'm going to build a wall. And then for some weird reason, keeping the message that simple brought him into office. If you don't know what I just said, don't even worry about it, because this is not a political video, right? But the idea is you got to learn how to bring it down to simplicity. You got to keep it simple so you can be consistent, because the ultimate goal is to be consistent. And to be consistent, you have to position yourself for consistency. And in order to position yourself for consistency, the number one key to that is keeping it simple. KISS, keeping it super simple. All right. So if you can do that, then you can win this game. And the three pillars is exactly designed to do that. You already know you want to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per deal, working only 4 or 5 hours on any single deal. Well, it's as simple as I just said it, but it's not going to be as simple as I just said it if you try to pile on yourself all these different ideologies and try to learn all the technical things in the world. We got to keep it simple. And that's the whole idea behind the three pillar system. The three pillar ideology is an idea that I've used in multiple different businesses. Okay. Be it traditional business, be it even MLMers, or even internet marketing. And yes, in real estate wholesaling, your business is not no different. You're going to hear me say it over and over again that real estate wholesaling, being a profitable venture, is not about real estate. It's not about houses. It's not about homes. It's about service. It's about value. Okay. It's about solving problems. It's about answering someone's question. It's about removing someone's pain and replacing it with pleasure. That's what it's about. So if you don't have problem, if you can't identify the problem, if you can't identify a question, a valid question, if you can identify some kind of pain, you will have a hard time creating profits in real estate. It doesn't matter what part of real estate. It could be agency as a realtor, it could be wholesaling, it could be as an investor. It doesn't matter. If you don't identify the problem that you solve, you will have a hard time. And that's basically what the three pillars help you do. Okay, so before we go in a bit too much deeper, as usual, I like to refresh your mind on what wholesaling is. Wholesaling is simply the art and the science of finding deeply discounted properties. All right. Now, the only thing missing in that definition is that what do we do with that? Well, here's why you're looking for deeply discounted properties. The reason why you're looking for them is because they are investors like myself. And literally, just this morning, I just checked my list. In one town, one small town, 280 cash buyers ready to buy a property. If the numbers make sense, if the deal makes sense, if there's profit in it for them, they're ready to pay cash. Not only pay cash for the property, but actually pay you handsomely, pay you lucratively for helping them find the deal. Why couldn't they find the deal themselves? Well, here's the thing. They can only see so much, right? And then they're also busy doing the deals that they already have. But a lot of people have cash in the bank, not a lot of cash, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, not because they keep it in a savings account that generates 0.001% minus inflation. It's because they know how to flip that money. And one of the ways that they flip that money is when people like you help them find deals in real estate that are deeply discounted. So a deeply discounted property will be a property that's worth $100,000 after rehab, meaning the after rehab value is actually $100,000. The after rehab value, that's ARV we call it, and you've helped somebody find that at $50,000. It needs only $10,000 worth of work. You put $10,000 worth of rehab, repairing it, and then it's worth $100,000. Somebody sell that. They paid 50 for the house. They paid 10 for the rehab. They pay you 10 for helping them find the deal. That's $70,000. They sell it for $100,000. They just made $30,000. So how often do you think they're going to do that? Over and over and over. So that's just one individual. Now think about just one town. Just in the last few months, have 280 people buying cash deals like that. So what you really need to get good at, that I'm teaching you in this series, is to learn how to find those deals. It's basically a marketing skills. So now finding those deals also is going to involve your prospecting skills. What do I mean? Sometimes you have to educate the prospect, the person, that their property is only worth $50,000. Remember, the value I gave you earlier is after rehab value, but the present value of the property is not necessarily $100,000. If it needs $10,000 worth of work, suddenly the property that was worth $100,000, that would be worth $100,000, is worth $50,000. Why? The value that's missing is not just the rehab, it's the willingness, is the fact that somebody doesn't want the headache. You give them convenience to get rid of a property that needs $10,000 worth of work. That convenience is worth literally $30,000 plus $10,000 your fees. Okay, it's worth $30,000 profit to the cash investor, and it's worth $10,000 worth of fees. They pay you that money because you give them the convenience of not having to repair or rehab the property. And you being able to find deals like that all day long is what we get paid for in wholesaling. It's not about the house. It's about the contract that you secure. It's about the deal that you secure. See, the realtors, agencies, they worry about selling a fancy, nice, beautiful home. You basically find ugly homes that have ugly scenarios, ugly situation, ugly event just happened in someone's life. It could be divorce, it could be a death in the family. They now own a property that they don't really want. It could be pre-foreclosure. It could be all these unfortunate things that happen in people's life that create this type of deal. So that's what wholesaling is. And basically the process I just explained to you, to keep it simple, is what brought about the idea of three pillars. Okay, so when I started back in 2005, I was lucky to find a few people who kind of simplified it for me. Okay, but I'll say I was lucky to find them. to eventually run into them, because the first course that I purchased was about $3,000 that I paid for it. It was a hotel event. If you watch this from part one, there was a little bit of that story in the hotel event, and the only one thing that I got out of the course was to join a local real estate association. So, and I joined a local real estate investing association. We call them REA, Real Estate Investing Association, or Investors Association. We call them REA around the country. It's a cultural, like everybody knows them as REA, right? But this particular one was called Garden State Real Estate Investors Association. It was called GSREA. Back then, we used to hold the meeting at there used to be Sheraton in Woodbridge. It's now called the Renaissance, right around the corner from the Garden State Parkway on Route 1. And that's where we used to hold meeting every Saturday. Basically, the idea is I found one at the time. I think I found it from a newspaper. Okay, there was no meetup.com. Now today you can simply go to meetup.com and find them everywhere. And basically I joined one of those association, and basically it was free for your first time attendee, and if you wanted to show up every week after that, it's $25 to get in, or you can simply pay for an annual membership that was like $220, and you can have access anytime you want, in any given month. And it was absolutely worth it. The first one I went to was free, and I was just getting to meet people, and and I met a guy called Bob, and Bob was like, "Hey, you just getting started? You should do short sales." And that's what he said. Short sale is a type of wholesaling, okay, which we'll cover in details later on. But he said you should do short sales. Like, do short sales? Yeah, talk to that guy over there. And then I went over to him, and the guy was like a year older than me. His name is Anthony, and he was making a killing. He was closing deals left and right, and he was doing well. He had a nice, beautiful, smart BMW car, in my opinion at the time. Nice. I mean, it's a nice luxury car. It was living. It wasn't like flamboyant, but you could tell that he's doing well. He was closing deals left and right. So, and then I decided to work with Anthony. So now Anthony did most of my deals, but after going through so many steps, like a zillion different things that quote unquote you're probably supposed to know to run this business, after like 3-4 years, then the market crashed in 2008, right? One of the things that made the market crash was because I didn't have the 3 pillars as a tool. I'm going to share that with you here today, okay? One of the things that made it crash was because I didn't have it as a tool. The concept that I shared with you earlier, that you must be solving some kind of problem. Somebody has a house that's basically a headache for them. You're helping them get rid of it. You're solving a problem. If you don't think of that, if you don't think of it like that from a psychological standpoint, you will run into difficulties in this business, okay? Because basically, naturally, you are gravitating towards complicating things, okay? It's as simple as solving problems. That's really the first pillar. We're going to talk about that in a second. So basically, in 2008, I didn't have the 3 pillars. So when the market crashed, guess what crashed with it? My business, my $1 million business, wiped out overnight, okay? $30,000 average deal, highest deal ever, $82,000, closing multiple deals every single month. And basically in 2008, things started to slow down. Remember that guy, Bob, that I told you, that suggested you should do short sales, right? That guy was telling me he's still my banker to today, my main banker to today. And he basically called me around, because he calls me every birthday, every anniversary, and I'm always jealous of this dude, by the way, because I wish I could be one being on top of events like that. But for all those years, this was 2005. I've known him now for like 2000, it's 2019 now. Yeah, like almost 15 years now, like 13, 14 years, right? And he still calls me. But anyway, he called me. He said, "Oh, you should change your strategy. A lot of these loans are disappearing. It's going to get tight. Credit's going to get tight, right?" See where I'm going. We're talking about 3 pillars. This is why 3 pillars is very, very important, okay? Not just the step by step, because the step by step is at 3pillarsystem.com, okay? By the way, 3 pillars is covered extensively in this book as well too. It's free at smartrealestatewholesaling.com. Just go get a copy. It's free. The PDF is free, and it's available on Kindle, I forgot to tell you, my name is Ola, and I'm an author of Smart Real Estate Wholesaling. Okay, but if you're watching this, you should have seen chapter 1 through 6, through 5 already. So I'm hoping that you've seen that. But anyway, smartrealestatewholesaling.com. Go get a copy. It's available in audiobook, Kindle, and paperback like this one. So the three pillars is covered. We also have a three-pillar system, which you can find at threepillarsystem.com. That's the step-by-step version of what I'm sharing with you and why that particular product came to life and why I suggest you do it. Okay. See, nobody thinks the market is going to crash until it happens. Okay. For me, I didn't even know the word recession at the time. Okay, I was 25, 26 years old. I had never come across the word recession in my life. So when he called me and he was saying, "Hey, Ola, you need to change strategies. Interest rate is increasing. Credit is going to get tighter, and deals may not close." I'm like, "What is he talking about?" I felt so invisible at the time, and I was so sure like nothing crazy like that is like not closing deals anymore. Like this is like that. This is the simplest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm closing deals $30,000, $25,000, $40,000, $60,000. Literally, like people are also eating with me. They're working with me. I have partners that were making $50,000, $60,000 deals by simply partnering with me. And you know, that was a big mistake not listening to him. But anyway, there was no way. What I was going to say is that there's no way I could have listened to him because my psyche was completely off. My psyche was like, I figured out one little thing, but wherever it is that I figured out was not recession proof. That's the point I'm driving at. Okay. The three pillar system recession proof your business. When you understand it internally and you understand it to the core, it becomes your recession proof tool for your business. And that's where I'm driving at. Okay. Now, why? Okay. Now, I'm going to give you three pillars. Again, actually, is value, automation, and people. Okay. Value, automation, and people. You see, the idea of the three pillars is that once you have those three things in place, it doesn't matter. Recession doesn't really matter. Okay. Recession are not, they don't happen to you. They happen, but you're able to adjust because you have it at the back of your mind, at the back of your psyche. You understand the very simple concept that you must follow evergreen all the time. And if you have that, basically you have nothing to worry about. So here's the idea. You're building a business, 20, $30,000 deal, and all of a sudden, when the recession hit, instead of three deals, now you're down to one deal per month. Now you have every other month that goes and there are no deals. Not because there are no buyers, not because there are no sellers, it's because the interest rate is tight. Okay. Now, the key thing is that there are buyers and there are sellers. Okay. But the idea behind the three pillars also put in factor marketing forces. See, there are forces outside of just me talking to you right now that affects how many views this video see. There are forces such as, is it evergreen? Can people search this content and be able to see this content and find value over time? Did I bring the right people to this video? Is it targeted audience? Or am I just over here showing this video to an audience of people that are just looking to watch pranks on YouTube, right? It's two different things. If I bring the wrong audience to the right product, basically the business is wrong. If I bring the right audience to the wrong product, the business is wrong. And those market concepts is basically why I created the three pillar, because it embodies everything you're gonna need, especially with a step-by-step actionable things in mind. Okay, so in marketing, right? In market value is basically two forces, demand and supply. Are there people willing to pay? Are there people willing to sell? The balance between those two is what creates a transaction. Real estate is not no different. It's like that in every market. Okay. However, there are forces like these people, they're willing to pay, but are they able to pay? The willingness and the ability to pay affects other market forces, basically. Okay, so because I want to buy a Lamborghini doesn't mean I'm going to be able to buy Lamborghini. I know it's overly simplified, but I have to bring it down to that for you to understand how important the three pillars are. Okay, if I'm looking to sell, I have to be willing to sell. Okay, but I also have to be able to sell. Case in point, for example, the majority of the deals I closed in my first 2 years in the business were short sales, which basically means the bank, the owner owes too much money on the property. The property was worth $100,000. They owed $300,000. So in order for them to sell, they have to not only give me the house, pay off not only they get $100,000 from me because that's what I'm willing to pay for it. I'm the market, right? But then they owe $300,000 to the bank, so they have to come out of pocket with $200,000 to pay the bank in order to close the deal. If they don't do that, the deal will not close. Basically, that mortgage note has to be satisfied. So there's a concept called short sales, which basically you can approach if there's a willing buyer at $100,000, and the market says it's only worth $100,000. You approach the bank and say, "Hey, bank, if you foreclose on this dude, you're only going to get $100,000 at the foreclosure auction steps. Why don't you just take the $100,000 and go reinvest it somewhere else, and then write off the loan at $300,000 and forgive the rest?" That's called short sales. So majority of it was like that. But here's the thing: the bank were not just giving the money away. It was the market force that allowed the bank to be willing to do that. You need to understand all of that. Again, it comes down to demand and supply. And I try to break it down into the three pillars because it has to involve the actionable steps, okay, that you need to take to get to your first deal, second deal, and then for life. So that's why I came up with the three pillars. Okay. No, so now here's the thing. The first thing I said in this video is that you must have a problem to solve. If you don't have a problem that you're solving, you don't have a business, or you're struggling, or you're doing too much work in selling. Okay. So if I have to do too much work in selling you on three pillar system, which is only $10 per month, it's probably the wrong audience, or you don't feel the pain of struggling in this business. Then I'm talking to the wrong person. Then it's only fair that I don't make any money. It's only fair that I don't create any revenue, right? It's only fair that I don't get any customers, okay? Because I'm not solving a problem. So solving a problem is not as simple as the idea. Is you have to make the solution meet the right audience, okay? So the first pillar is value, the problem you're solving, the pain that you're replacing with pleasure, the question you're replacing with an answer, right? Being able to do those three things, right, is what you call value. You bring some value to the table. You do that long enough, you build a brand. People will know you for solving those type of problems. Okay. So for example, in this game, people know me for finding deeply discounted properties. Okay. Another way to look at that as a wholesaler is that they know me for helping people get rid of properties that they don't want. But usually that's a one-time event in a lot of people's life to have to get rid of a property. So they don't really do business with me over and over, but they refer people to me. If they find, I can't tell you how many times that has happened, like literally deals that happened with me paying $0 on the marketing. There's no effective cost on marketing to find that deal. Why? Because I helped somebody 2 years ago and they said, "Oh, you have that property? You owe too much on it? Oh, did you call all that?" And then they refer them to me. So again, I built some kind of trust, equity, trust factor in that scenario. Okay. So it's still value. And when you do value and you give value over and over, consistency, remember, you do that consistently, you automatically build a brand. Equity factor, a brand equity factor, brand equity, basically people knowing you for what you do, and when they see you or they see your post on Instagram anywhere, they know exactly what you do, and basically the idea of seeing you reminds them of something, of a problem you know how to solve. That's value. That's the first pillar. Okay. When you don't have that, there's no problem, right, then you're dealing with just people, and then you're basically trying to shovel your ideas down people's throats. Have you ever seen that scenario where somebody say, "I'm starting a business. I have an idea. I think this cupcake is beautiful and I think everybody will love it." Well, the key word is think. Okay. And then you wonder why people start a business, and 95% of the time the businesses fail within the first 5 years. Okay. The rest of them pretty much majority of them over the next 5 years after that. And if you want to avoid that, that's a recession, right? That's individual recession. But you're not just trying to immune your business against individual recession. You're trying to immune your business against global recession, which is what happened in 2008, right? So in order to do that, you must lead your business with value. Okay, find something that you know that you can give over and over and over again, because people will run. Unfortunately, there will be enough people running into these problems, and you can just be there to serve them. Okay, the second part is automation. Things are one of the reasons for for the crash in 2008 was because it was right in the middle of the digital evolution as well too. Things are moving way too fast for you to be able to afford to be slow. Okay, you can't afford to be thinking manually. You should be you need to be thinking how to create momentum with very little. You should be thinking leverage with very little. The idea of leverage means you get more with less. Okay, so case in point, I'm talking to you right now, this video, in this moment that I'm recording this video, only one person is watching me live. However, hundreds, thousands of people will see this video later and to serve the same purpose. The content is evergreen. How can you do the same thing with real estate wholesaling? Remember what we said. Real estate wholesaling, the idea is to find deeply discounted properties. How can you do that over and over and over and over again without you having to show up in person? Without the constraint of time on it. What do I mean by that? You only have 24 hours in a day, right? So if you were finding a deal for every hour, you find one deal per hour, that means you're limited to finding 24 deals. You have to start thinking, how can I find 24 deals even if I don't show up to work that day? How can I create systems that will find 24 deals even if I don't show up every day, right? You got to start thinking that. Once you start thinking that way, your mind will start going wild. Remember, you understand the first concept. You find deeply discounted properties for investors. Investors, where do you find them? Just talk to me. I have them. Okay. Plus, you can, another way to find them, go to the meetup, go to meetup.com and join the local REA association of your local area. Okay. They are there. They're buying from time to time. You just have to learn how to find the deal, which we covered in the previous chapters in this book. And then people will be willing to buy them all day long and then pay you $10,000 or more. Right. So automation, the second pillar here, is basically you have to. Okay, you can't say no, I'm different. I'm gonna sit in the cave. I don't need a phone. I don't need anybody chasing me around with a phone. No, you can't say that. Okay, you're gonna say that, you're basically working against the market force. Remember, we're talking about how to protect yourself, make your business recession proof, right? That's what we're talking about. So automation is not something you can afford to let somebody talk you into driving for dollars. If you understand this concept, because you know that you can do better with your time. You can be a little bit more efficient and effective with your time. Does driving for dollars work? Yes. Does knocking on doors work? Yes. But that's not the question. The question is that, are you going to still be in the business when it decides to work? Is it going to take too long? Is that the most efficient, most effective use of your time? The answer is no. Okay, not if you have three pillars. Okay, because there's very low level of automation in that. The only automation you're using is worth 100 years. Just think about the last time they created the first time they created a car. That's how old your idea of automation is. Is that your idea of doing this business, driving for dollars? I have nothing against driving for dollars. I have everything against low efficiency, low effectiveness in your business. I would never recommend for you to reduce your effectiveness in terms of automation, or to reduce or take out automation. We're all automated at the end of the day. You're watching me on the phone. I have to remind you all the time. That's because there's automations at play in the market force, and you have to be that fast. You can't wait until you can manually drive down to Connecticut with the contract before you can sign a contract. You have to be able to get a contract secured and signed and notarized right now in the next 2 minutes if you want. There's automations for that. Very cheap automations, less than $20 a month. So there's zero reasons. And I mean, when I say automation, I don't mean you have to learn engineering. I don't mean you have to learn technical stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about simple stuff that you already use. All you have to do is, I need to get this done. Is there any kind of software that does this? Then boom, somebody will come out of the woodwork and say, yes, is only $15 per month. Okay, you got to be thinking like that all the time. You understand the concept. We find deeply discounted properties. There are a few things in between. Once you find out what you need to get done, you only get paid for getting it done. You don't get paid for doing it. You don't get paid for spending time a trillion years trying to do it. You get paid to get it done. Okay, so because of you don't get paid for doing it, your time is worth less if you spend time doing things that could be done by just getting it done with the software, by just getting it done with the available tools, the laptop, the you don't get paid for that. So because of that, that affects you directly. And if a nation, even a whole nation, does not pay attention to that, they lose money to other nations. The GDP drops. Like, think about the GDP of a nation. Think about that GDP for you individually or for your individual business, right? You need to pay attention to that. So the second piece of that is the second pillar, automation. Think automation. So when it comes to automation, the first skill that I teach you in three pillar system is we're calling people. We're calling people and asking them if they're open to selling their property. That's the first question. But we're not calling people by doing this. Okay, we're not trying to call people by doing this. That's too manual. You call people, you set it, and then you start calling people, and you only talk to people that comes on the line. And then you can even multitask if you want. You set 1 hour on that. In 1 hour, you've called about 80 people minimum. Okay. If you're calling 80 people, you do that consistently, you will find a deal. I promise. Somebody's looking, they're looking, and we have obviously, like I said earlier, there must be some value, right? So we have a target audience, absentee owners, tired landlords, divorcees, right? People that divorced, they don't want to deal with it anymore. They're bitter. They just want to leave. They want to move on, right? Right? Unwanted inheritances, pre-foreclosure, houses that's underwater, upside down, right? We have those are all the target audience, so we can actually bring value to the table. Because again, first pillar, you must make sure you're bringing value to the table. Second pillar, automation. You got to be reaching these people, not just one at a time, not especially if it's going to cost you less than the cup of coffee per day to reach a whole lot more. Right? You got to think automation. The third one is the missing puzzle, the elephant in the room so far, the people. Okay, you need people. A business with zero customers is not a business. So think about this fancy system business that you built and there's no customers coming to the door. What is a 10 megawatt system multiplied by zero customers? You have zero business. You multiply anything by zero is zero. So when you're thinking about this business, think about the people. Okay. So not only are you thinking about the people, the first pillar says make sure that you're bringing some kind of solutions to the table for the people. In order to bring solution, you must identify the problem. When you identify a problem, you bring solution. That's called value. Then you have the first pillar, the value, you have automation, and then you have people. This right here that I just shared with you is a concept that you must internalize. Okay. You must read this book 10 to 15 times to become a part of you. Okay. If you do that, everything you do in this game is you approach it with the three pillar system in mind as a core pillar, as a core concept of the whole game. If you do that, there's no such thing as recession. Okay. Recession simply means you're losing a lot more than you're gaining. That's what it means. Okay. But if you understand that the concept is about attracting people because you're giving them value and doing that at speed with momentum because of automation, right? So basically, you're serving a lot more people. You're producing a lot more than you're consuming. You cannot run into recession. You can't go bankrupt by doing that. It's this concept is applicable in anything you do in your life. It's applicable in every part of your life. The more you give, right? The more you're giving, producing, right? The more profit you're gonna get. Okay, it's the same thing in real estate. You want to do that as fast as humanly possible. You want to do it with sustainability because you can go too fast and crash. Just think about a plane trying to go at 45 degrees without running the wrong way first. You can crash and burn too. So there's a balance that's needed between the two. That balance is basically your budget, your monthly marketing budget. Are you trying to act like the big gurus and spend $10,000? right from the get-go and you've never made a dime in the business, you're going to crash and burn. Okay, you're going it's too fast. Okay, however, can you go at an average person in America, can you go at spending about $100 in your overhead per month and then make $10,000 per month, $12,000 per month? Is that worth it? Yes. Not only is it worth it, it's sustainable. You can go at that kind of speed. So the three pillars is designed for momentum, momentum that's enough to keep you excited about the game, but also sustainability. It's a balance between momentum. Momentum is speed over time with respect to sustainability. But I don't want you to be in the game way too long and you're getting tired and your heart is getting weak and you're looking for results. I want you to do it in a way that you can track everything that's going on, because smart real estate wholesaling is from the idea of a smart goal. A smart goal means specific, measurable, attainable, right? Reachable, and trackable. You have to be able to track what's going on even before you close your first deal. You must be able to say, hey, I'm making this much contacts per day. Hey, in per hour, in per minute, this is how many people are called per minute. It's very hard to do that if you try to do everything manually. That means no second pillar. All right. So everything I just shared with you in 40 minutes, you can get it all set up. We have it at 3pillarsystem.com. You can get it all set up. Plus, you become a part of the mastermind for just $10 a month. And then you have access to me. You have access to my buyers network and things like that for free, for just $10 a month. So that's what I wanted to share with you. The three pillars simplified. It balances momentum and sustainability. Recession proof your business. Okay. And then you know that for sure, no matter what kind of market you find yourself, it doesn't matter if market is slow, as long as people need a roof over their head and as long as people get into problems. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but people will continue to run into problems. And I mean specific real estate problems. If everyone were tenants, people will run into problems. If everyone were landlords, they will run into problems. There's going to be some kind of tenant that's not making their payment. There's going to be some kind of eviction somewhere that went way too long, and somebody's going to get in trouble and then owe too much on a property. They have to get rid of a property. There's going to be somebody that a job moved them out of state, and now they don't want to deal with the property, and they will rather, instead of waiting for the market to give them the full price, they'll rather just take 50% and move on with their life. And you just take that job, take that house and flip it to a person that's going to give that house some nice, beautiful, tender, loving care. We call it TLC, and put it back on the market for a profit. And you make money all day for doing that. Did I oversimplify it? Well, that's the idea of three-pillar system. Listen to this video again over and over and over again until you grab the concept. The idea is to simplify it. So if you want to get started, the first thing is go plug in with a three-pillar system. And you can access all of that from smartrealestatewholesaling.com. The book is free. The PDF version is free. The book is available on Amazon, Kindle, audio, and paperback. And hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. And I will see you on the next one. And peace.